After decades of neglect and decline, Ghana is experiencing a remarkable railway revival. What was once a colonial-era network of narrow-gauge tracks, totaling 1,300 kilometers and dating back to 1898, had deteriorated to the point where by 2024, less than 70 kilometers remained reliably operational. Today that story is changing dramatically. Ghana has embarked on one of the most ambitious railway transformation projects in West Africa, with plans to construct over 4,000 kilometers of modern standard gauge railway lines across the country at an estimated investment of $21.5 billion. This isn't just about trains, it's about transforming an entire economy, connecting landlocked neighbors, and positioning Ghana as the logistics gateway to the Sahel region. Kindly subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. The crown jewel of Ghana's railway revival is the Tema-Mpakadan railway line, which represents a historic milestone as Ghana's first-ever standard-gauge railway. This 97-kilometer line connecting the port of Tema to Mpakadan was officially inaugurated on November 25, 2024, by former President Nana Akufo-Addo, marking the culmination of a project that began construction in 2018. The project, financed through a $447 million credit facility from the India Export-Import Bank and executed by Afghan's infrastructure, represents more than just a railway line. It's a sophisticated multimodal transportation system. The line features modern diesel multiple-unit trains with seating capacities of 120 and 150 passengers, equipped with air conditioning, Wi-Fi on demand, and toilets. The infrastructure includes state-of-the-art stations with modern passenger facilities, and perhaps most impressively, a 300-meter-long railway bridge spanning the Volta River, a significant engineering achievement. Commercial passenger operations officially launched on October 1, 2025, with 2 trains operating daily services. The fares are remarkably affordable, 15 Ghanaian cedis for the Tema to Afinya route, and 25 cedis for the Afinya to Adomi route. The journey from Tema to Afinya takes approximately 40 minutes, offering passengers a faster, more comfortable alternative to congested roads. Within the first few weeks of operation, the trains demonstrated their efficiency, with one maiden journey departing Tema Harbour Railway Station at 9 a.m. and arriving at Afinya by 9:39 a.m., including stops at the Tema Industrial Area Station and Ashaiman Station. The Tema-Mpakadan line is not an isolated project. It's the critical first phase of something far more transformative, the Ghana-Burkina Faso Railway Interconnectivity Project. This ambitious undertaking aims to construct a 950-kilometer rail corridor connecting Ghana's port of Tema all the way to Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso. In a landmark development, Ghana and Burkina Faso signed a pivotal railway cooperation agreement in September 2025 in Accra, reinforcing their commitment to this transformative infrastructure. The agreement builds on Burkina Faso's existing $70 million investment in the Tema Inland Container Depot, demonstrating genuine cross-border commitment to regional integration. The vision is ingenious. Cargo from the port of Tema will travel by rail to Mpakadan, then continue via barges on Volta Lake to reach northern Ghana and eventually cross into Burkina Faso. The proposed route from Mpakadan passes through Hoho, Jazikan, Nkwanta, Bimbala, Yendi, Tamale, Whale, Bolgatanga, Pega, and then into Burkina Faso through Po, Zabra, Tenkadogo, and Manga before terminating at Ouagadougou. The economic implications are staggering. Preliminary feasibility studies suggest this rail corridor could slash logistics costs by up to 40% for landlocked countries like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. For nations that currently face steep freight costs, unpredictable delivery times, poor road conditions, and security risks, a direct rail link to one of West Africa's deepest and most modern seaports transforms everything. This isn't just about moving goods, it's about moving entire economies. The project is expected to create approximately 30,000 jobs and could catalyze industrial growth across the entire Sahel region. While the Eastern Corridor grabs headlines, equally significant work is underway on Ghana's Western Railway line. This historic route, which originally ran 339 kilometers from Takoradi Port to Kumasi with a branch line from Dunkwa to Aweso, was Ghana's first railway, constructed between 1898 and 1903. Today, however, only 66 kilometers from Takoradi to Nsuta remain operational. The Western Line is strategically vital because it traverses Ghana's mineral-rich heartland. The corridor is home to major manganese mines at Nsuta, located just 64 kilometers from Takoradi Port, and bauxite deposits at Aweso, 239 kilometers from the coast. The region also produces cocoa, timber, cement, and petroleum products, all bulk commodities that desperately need efficient rail transport to reduce the catastrophic wear on Ghana's roads. In April 2024, financing totaling €600 million was secured for the reconstruction of a 100-kilometer section of standard gauge line from Takoradi Harbor to Huni Valley. This represents what Ghana's finance minister called the single biggest railway investment by the country post-independence. Construction contracts have been signed with multiple companies. Amandi Holdings is constructing 22 kilometers from Kojakromeshiam to Manso, while China Railway Wuju Corporation is undertaking the 97-kilometer Tarkwadunkwa stretch, with extensions planned to Aweso and eventually Kumasi. The new standard gauge line is designed to accommodate trains traveling at speeds up to 120 kilometers per hour, carrying both freight and passengers. When completed, it will dramatically reduce transportation costs for Ghana's mining industry and agricultural producers, while simultaneously preserving the road network from the punishing effects of heavy truck traffic. Ghana's railway ambitions extend far beyond these headline projects. The Ghana Railway Master Plan, completed in 2013, envisions a comprehensive network of 4,007.6 kilometers of standard gauge railway, implemented across 6 phases. Phase 2, identified as a priority, encompasses approximately 1,234 kilometers and includes the Takoradi-Kumasi Western Line, the Accra-Kumasi Eastern Line covering 300 kilometers, and the ambitious Kumasi-Pega Central Spine Line spanning 595 kilometers. This central spine would link Kumasi in central Ghana to Pega on the Burkina Faso border, fundamentally transforming north-south connectivity. Additional priority routes include the Kumasi-Nyinahin Line, a 58-kilometer stretch providing access to 750 million metric tons of bauxite reserves, and the Tamale-Yendi Line, a 102-kilometer route accessing 2.7 billion metric tons of iron ore deposits at Yendi. These mineral-focused lines aren't just about extraction. They represent the potential industrialization of Ghana's resource wealth. The Eastern Line, running 300 kilometers from Accra to Kumasi, also features in the master plan. Apart from the 20-kilometer Accra-Tema section used for passenger services, most of this line currently sits in disrepair. However, its revival is critical because it connects to significant bauxite deposits at Kibi and Mount Ejuanima, and importantly, links to the proposed Boankra Inland Port, a major logistics hub designed to relieve congestion at coastal ports. Despite these ambitious plans and recent progress, Ghana's railway revival faces significant challenges. The Tema-Mpakadan line, though inaugurated in November 2024, experienced months of delays before commercial operations began in October 2025. During this period, the line suffered from persistent theft and vandalism, including metal theft from the tracks that cost time and public funds. Encroachment and illegal mining have damaged railway corridors and delayed rehabilitation work across the network. In Kumasi, what was once the railway station and adjoining lands are now occupied by a sprawling market with dilapidated wooden structures. Residential homes, churches, cold stores and warehouses have encroached onto planned railway right-of-way, creating enormous challenges for the proposed Kumasi-Obuasi standard gauge project. Payment delays to contractors have created trust deficits across the sector, while weak public engagement has resulted in low awareness of railway safety and insufficient community buy-in for projects. The tragic incident in April 2024, when a newly acquired train struck a truck parked on the tracks during a test run, illustrates the critical need for improved safety education and enforcement. Beyond these operational challenges, funding remains a persistent constraint. While Ghana has successfully secured financing from India, China, and European institutions, the scale of the master plan, over $21 billion, requires sustained international partnerships and potentially greater private sector involvement through build-operate-transfer arrangements. Ghana's railway revival represents far more than infrastructure development. It's about reclaiming economic sovereignty, integrating regional markets, protecting road networks, creating tens of thousands of jobs, and positioning Ghana as West Africa's premier logistics hub. The Tema-Mpakadan line now carries passengers daily. The Western Line reconstruction is securing financing. The Ghana-Burkina Faso interconnectivity project has moved from concept to cooperation agreement. These aren't just blueprints on paper. There's steel being laid, bridges being built, and trains beginning to roll. The road ahead remains challenging, but Ghana has demonstrated that with vision, commitment, and strategic partnerships, the dream of a modern, comprehensive railway network is achievable. As trains once again begin connecting Ghana's towns and cities, they're not just carrying passengers and freight, they're carrying hope for a transformed future.